Are you ready to uplevel your sales game? Well, here is a gift for you. It is the Mastering the Sales Conversation mini training. This training gives you my proven step-by-step approach to sales so that you can go from that overwhelmed and intimidated approach that you have to sales to feeling confident and leading a conversation so that you easily guide somebody to hiring you. You can get it right now by going to yoursalesmaven.com/mastering. This is my gift to you. Go grab it now.
Do sales conversations make you feel awkward or pushy? It's time to ditch the outdated salesy strategies. Your guide, Nikki Rausch, will show you how to combine kindness with selling skills to meet your prospects where they are, and in the process, how to uplevel your influence and income. Learn how to earn business easily and effortlessly. Here's Nikki.
Welcome and thank you for listening to the Sales Maven Show. I'm your host, Nikki Rausch, your own personal sales maven, here to offer you tips and strategies and techniques to master your sales conversations. Today, we're going to be talking about how to navigate those calls when you're not really sure what the purpose is. Is this a client, a potential client? Is this just a connection call? Is this just networking? Like, what is it? And what is the goal of that call? So this came up in a coaching session recently with a client, and it got me thinking about how it is so important to understand what's the goal of that call for you, because otherwise you're going to spend a lot of time and energy either wasting time with people who are not potential clients who you think they might be, or having this like breakdown in rapport because you're handling it differently than the person and what their expectation is. So that's what we're going to focus on today. So it brings me back to my training from neurolinguistic programming. One of the first things that you learn, and the only way in the training that I went through to complete your practitioner's training, is to go through this process with somebody who you've never met. And it is to create an outcome statement. And there's a whole process to it. But the point, and the why I'm bringing it into our conversation today, is it really got me learning how important it is to know your outcome. It's like the Lewis Carroll quote, if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. The thing that you want to do is establish your outcome. Now, you might think of outcome as a goal. That works. Like, what's the goal of the call? But if you don't know where you're going, it's easy to waste time and energy and start to feel frustrated that you're getting on a bunch of calls with people who you think are potential clients, and they think that you're a potential client for them. And there's like this weird disconnect. So it's having some clarity so that you are strategic in your conversations. And as a matter of fact, being strategic in sales conversations, or frankly, any conversation, feels like the most important thing of all of the work that I do, of helping my clients understand how to be strategic in those conversations. Because it isn't about just memorizing like what to say. It's actually knowing like, where am I going in this conversation, and how do I be strategic about getting me there or getting us there in the case of if you're talking to, or when you're talking to, a prospect. So when I think about these calls that you may be having, and for me as well, with somebody where you're not like really sure what is the purpose of this call, the purpose of the call, in my humble opinion, maybe not so humble, is to understand or identify one of three things. So the goal is to identify, am I talking to a potential client? Is this somebody who will just be a friend or a colleague that we may, stay connected to over the years, and who knows what would develop over time? Or third, is this a bless and release situation? Like, had my time with this person, will probably never speak to them again. That to me is the outcome of that call, is to determine as quickly as possible, potential client, colleague or friend, or a bless and release situation. A bless and release to me, in case you haven't heard that term before from me, is really of like, I have no intention on probably ever talking to this person again. And I'm certainly not going to invest any time or energy continuing the relationship. I don't mean this in a like, go kick rocks. I never want to talk to you again. But it's like, I'm not going to put any time and energy into these relationships, which like that's fine, right? We have to make time in our schedule by eliminating people and time sucks. And people who you're not interested in staying connected to, they're a time suck. And it's not about them as a person, it's more about you and your energy. And, you only have so many hours in a day and you only have so much time to work on growing your business. So once you know this outcome, like you go into the meeting, my goal is to establish, is this a potential client? Is this a friend or colleague? Or is this a bless and release situation? Now, what do you do to help establish that? I'm going to give you a question that you can ask in this meeting to help kind of establish it. Now, the question I'm about to give you, I want to say it's a multi purpose question in that not only do you want to show and build rapport, like and show respect to the other person in the meeting, but you also want to establish for yourself one of those three things that we talked about, potential client, colleague, friend, or a bless and release. So here's the question. You would ask this person pretty early on in the conversation, what would make this call a valuable use of your time? Now, you ask and you let them answer, and you be prepared to then answer the question as well for you. So it helps establish, in sales, I always say like there has to be a balance of power. You never want one person to hold more power in the conversation because the other person will feel less than and they'll go away, or that person will get abused, which is usually you if you're less than in the equation. So there needs to be a balance of power. So by asking this question, you also want to be able to answer it. So you might want to think of your answer before you get onto that call. So, what would make this call a valuable use of your time? You let them answer, and then you would say, for me, what would be a valuable use of this call and this time would be X, Y, and Z. Then it helps direct the conversation. Because if you just like fly by the seat of your pants, let's see where it goes, you're probably spending a ton of time, wasted time with people who it's never going to go anywhere. So let's establish this pretty early on. And also, if they think they're there to earn your business, but you have no intention on buying from this person, or you don't need what it is that they're selling or what they're, wanting to pitch to you, you can say that early on in the conversation so as to not waste again your time and their energy and time, right? Like it's okay. And you can do that in a really respectful, kind way. So let's talk about when you identify that, okay, this is a potential client. What do I then do? Because there's things to do once you've identified one of those three categories. So I'm going to give you some suggestions for each category. So this is when we're talking to a potential client. Now, how do we know they're a potential client? We know because they're saying things that are indicating, oh, I can actually solve this problem for them, or I can help them in this way. They're giving you buying signals, verbal and nonverbal cues that indicate that their interest in what it is, they have interest in what it is that you offer, and you're going to ask permission to put an offer in front of them. But once we've identified this is a potential client, what then becomes the goal of that meeting, of that time together? So once it's a potential client, here's the goal. The goal is to get that next step in the sales process done. So the next step could be that you need to put a proposal together for them and schedule a time to review it, or you want to frankly ask their permission. Actually, this should be the first next step. You want to ask their permission as to whether or not they're interested in hearing about ways you guys could work together, or an offer that you have for them. So you would say, based on what you've shared, it got me thinking there is a way for us to work together and I could help you with that. Is that something you'd be interested in hearing a little bit more about? So I'm going to ask permission before I put an offer in front of them. Or I could say, that's absolutely something that I offer. I could put a proposal together for you on that. Is that something you'd be interested in, scheduling a time to review together? And then get the next step scheduled. When you're talking to a potential client, your goal is to guide that to the place where you actually exchange dollars for services. Don't just let them take the lead because they don't know what the next step is to hiring you, to paying you money, to getting their needs met, their solution to their problem. That's your job to earn their business. So identify that really quickly. Now, what about if they're not a potential client? What if they're maybe just somebody you'd like to remain friends with or just consider a colleague? And who knows where that would go in the future? Maybe you'll refer business to each other. Maybe you'll join a mastermind together. Like it could go anywhere. When that is the case, if you really want that relationship to flourish and develop, then you need to put some time and energy into it. So here are two things that I would recommend. One of two, you could pick which one would work for you, is you actually schedule another time for you guys to get together and you get it on your calendars. It could be that you're going to meet for lunch or coffee, or maybe you're just going to do a virtual check-in, or maybe you're going to set up and have a Voxer exchange, like whatever that next step is, but get something scheduled and then make an effort to be the one who stays in connection to them. If that doesn't feel appropriate in that particular meeting, here's another here's another kind of option that you might do is you might just go onto your calendar a couple weeks out and block 15 minutes to remind yourself to connect with this person in some way. So you could connect with them by sending a message that you're thinking about them and checking in and asking how things are going based on the things they shared in the meeting, especially when you can reference something that they said to you or something that was important to them. And you could ask how's your project going? Or, hey, how was that trip to, Brazil or whatever it is that they did? But do something, put it on your calendar. Because I don't know about you, but I live and breathe my calendar. So if it's not on my calendar, I probably won't do it. I'll forget. And then time will go by. And this person who I wanted to establish a relationship with, nothing has happened because they probably aren't going to take any action because they're busy. You're busy. So put it on your calendar and actually do something. And it could be something as simple as go and look and see what have they posted on LinkedIn. Can you comment on something? Can you send them a funny meme? Can you do something to build relationship, but calendar it because otherwise, if you're like me, you'll forget and won't do it. Do you know how to recognize and act on a buying signal? I have a gift that is going to teach you these 17 buying signals so that you're ready when you get them to take action and move somebody to the next part of the sales conversation. You can get this right now by going to yoursalesmaven.com/Maven. Go grab it now. Okay, so what if it's a bless and release situation? When you understand that, okay, this really isn't somebody who I have any desire to or any need to build any kind of relationship with. And again, this is not a judgment about the person. This doesn't make them a bad person, and it doesn't make you a bad person for being able to evaluate this. I know I did an episode recently about how you have to repel people in order to have room to attract the right people into your business. So it's not personal about the person. It's just about you only have so much time and energy, and we only have one life. So let's make the most of this one and spend it with people who matter and who are going to improve our lives and who we can improve theirs, right? So, okay, bless and release. Once we've identified, okay, this is not a person that I want to stay in contact with, how do you wrap up that call? So here's a language suggestion in my again, not so humble opinion of how to say it is I would say to somebody, it's been so great talking with you. And I wish you all the best in the future. I wish you all the best in your business. And then just say, take care. Do not say, let's stay in touch. Do not say, I'll follow up with you in a couple weeks if you know you're not going to. Do not invite them to a next step. It's hard not to because I think, polite society and manners sometimes make us think, oh, I need to, you know, imply that there's going to be more relationship here. But really, you're not doing them any kind of like kindness by saying something that's not true. And you're kind of cutting into your integrity and credibility because if they're expecting to hear from you and they never do, that can feel like you leave them feeling pinched in some way. You leave them feeling like, oh, obviously she didn't think I was worth her time. Whereas if you just say in a really kind way, it's been so great talking with you. And I wish you all the best in the future. Take care. You're not promising anything. You're not committing to anything. Therefore, your integrity stays intact. And it's a kind way to just like move on in the conversation or move on in your day, not in the conversation. Okay, so let's recap. The whole point of this particular episode was to remind you that your outcome of those meetings, when you're not sure what the purpose of it is to establish pretty quickly. Am I talking to a prospective client? Is this somebody who I want to stay in contact with as a friend or a colleague? Or is this a bless and release situation? And then once you've identified that, you know what to do or say next in the conversation to really set yourself up for success and be more strategic in your time, your energy, and your business, frankly. All right. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. If you found this episode helpful or something that I said you're going to use or implement in some way, would you please share with somebody you know about this episode, encourage them to listen or write a review for the podcast and or reach out to me and let me know what was that takeaway, what was that tip. I am always so delighted to hear from people who listen to the podcast, who get value out of it. That is the whole point in putting it out there. And if I can assist you in any way, please reach out. It would be my honor to be a resource and support you as you continue to hone your selling skills. Wishing you continued success in all you're doing. Take care.
Thanks for listening to Sales Maven. Visit us online at yoursalesmaven.com/maven for more resources to boost your confidence and skills.
Are you ready to increase your confidence in your sales conversations? I have a gift for you that is going to show you exactly how to do that. It is my Closing the Sale ebook. It's all about leveling up your confidence, giving you language to use, how to seamlessly move somebody through the sales process. And you can get it right now by going to yoursalesmaven.com/Maven. Go grab it.